everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Sherry Schreiner. Was just looking over this news for the day. Apparently, President Trump is moving the United States Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem and recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Well, isn't that kind of funny? Not that most Americans probably don't even know Jerusalem is not the capital of Israel, so that most of them will just mindlessly go along with it. But Tel Aviv has been the long-standing capital, so it's kind of funny. That's like Russians coming over and saying, we're moving our embassy from D.C. to Philadelphia, and we're going to recognize Philadelphia as the capital. Because there's nothing in Jerusalem. Jerusalem is basically a war zone, Tel Aviv is where the government is, where the universities are, and Jerusalem is not the major focus over in Israel. If you live in Israel, it's Tel Aviv. And so we know it's going to set up for Israel over there because Bible prophecy demands it. Jerusalem is going to be the center of focus and attention in the last days, and so why wouldn't it be recognized as the capital of Israel? And so I bet if you asked most Americans, they probably wouldn't even know that Jerusalem's not the capital of Israel. And of course, Netanyahu's just going along with whatever. He may have something to say later. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Jerusalem is the capital. But when you think about it, there's nothing in Jerusalem. It's always been Tel Aviv, and I find it interesting that this is how twisted the libtards have everything in this whole New World Order scenario. Because, okay, let's get this straight. The Vatican owns the deed of the land that the Israel Knesset, like their White House and Congress, sits on. But the buildings are owned by the Russians who lease it to the Jewish people. It couldn't get any crazier. This is how they do stuff. It's either the Vatican owns the land or the Russians do. But the Israelis do not. They do not own the land that their own Knesset sits on. And so, interesting that the whole thing was set up in 1948 by the UN and the Rothschilds so that they could pull together a third world war, which was planned to be in the Middle East, the Jews against the Arabs. And this is all their scripting. This is what was on their little Masonic script, a third world war between the Jews and the Arabs. And the churches say, amen, that's the Lord's calling his people back to Israel. No, he isn't. No, he doesn't. He calls them back when he arrives after the second coming of Christ. That whole 1948 stuff was the Rothschilds and the Satanists, and you won't even find Lucifer in the Middle East. The place is a dump. No offense to people who live in the Middle East, but it is a hellhole over there. You've got all these Arabs, whatevers. They're not even the original Arabs that occupied the Middle East back in the day. They're not Ishmael's kids. No one knows who and what they are. Their Muhammad was a demonic madman who used to roam in the deserts, and he would ride up on people and rob and kill them, and rape their toddler children. And for this, he gets Messiah status amongst the Arabs. He was set up. The Vatican sent in this woman to convince him that he was a Messiah. He thought he was possessed by demons, and she said, "Oh no. You're a Messiah." That's how the Arabs got their start. That's just Muhammad. You can't make this stuff up. And so no one's even sure what bloodline they're from, because they have watered down their DNA so bad over the years with inbreeding that it's really prevalent among all the Arabs, except for I'm going to keep Iran out of it, the other Arabs, not the Farsis. They don't even speak Arabic, they speak Farsi. Saudi Arabia itself, the Arab nations over there, they have incest. When they arrange marriages, it's with cousins. They have monster DNA. I don't even know what else to call it. In my book, Interview with the Devil, I was talking about the Middle East with Lucifer, and It's a dump. He hates it. He even hates it there. And this is why he spends all of his time in America and Rome. Because the Lord's people are not over there, they're over here. See, Israel today is fake Jews. Revelation 2:9 and 3:9 talks about the fake Jews. They call themselves Jews, and they're not. They're Khazarian Jews. They're Turkish. They're from Turkey and the Ukraine. We have fake Jews. And the whole Holocaust was about killing off the real ones in Germany. They killed off the Torah-believing and the Christian Jews so that the fake ones could dominate the whole, when they set up Israel as its own nation. It was the whole point of it. It was all planned and scripted. But they had to get rid of the real Jews so the fake ones could dominate Israel. And so they pulled off that scam of a war just so they could eliminate 7, 8, 10 million Jews so the Satanists could dominate Israel. So when the UN gave them their own land, the Satanists were in control of the fake Jews. And that's what's over there today. Fake Jews. They don't worship the Lord. They worship the Talmud and Satanism. In their Talmud, they have that Jesus is burning in hot excrement in hell. And anyone who worships him should be there with him. And for this, the Christian churches send their full support. It's maddening. And you can't tell them any different. Because when you mention the word Zionism, they think of Jerusalem and rally around the patriotic Christian Bible, land of Jerusalem. You can't tell them the truth. They just keep supporting Satanists, throwing their money over to the Satanists. Kill more kids, chop them up, put them in our food supply. Keep worshiping Satan at your altars and your underground parties, raping and killing kids, putting people on the altar of Baphomet and sacrificing them. The Jews hate Christians, and they laugh that Americans support them. And rightfully so. It's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. They don't even speak a Hebrew language. They speak Hasidic. It's not a Hebrew language. It's a Turkish language. So this is what's going on, though. We're gonna make Jerusalem the center of politics because this is where events have to go. Because America is going to be destroyed. Europe's going to be under complete chaos and destruction by their own immigrants they brought in. The Queen doesn't even like Europe. She's going to take off to islands she thinks she's going to be safe at. And so they're going to make, Jerusalem is going to become the focal point because they know that Bible prophecy reveals that the second coming of Christ will be centered in Jerusalem. And so they're going to turn it around as the focal point. See, they know Bible prophecy. The problem with them is their interpretations lack any insight. They try to make it happen themselves. Bush did that for years. It drove me nuts, drove me up a wall. They keep thinking they have to instigate Iran as boogeymen. Israel always needs a boogeyman so they can keep pumping weapons and money at Israel. We've pumped so much money over there. Every Israeli should be a millionaire. It's like Africa. How many billions can you pump into to save starving and naked kids? They should all be billionaires by now. Where is the money really going, folks? Where does the money really go? Because Iran doesn't care. Iran has been sitting there for centuries. If they wanted Israel, they could have marched in there in 48 or 67, just took it away from all of them. That war about Gog and Magog and Ezekiel 37 and 38, that doesn't even happen this side of the millennial reign. That doesn't happen anytime soon, and they keep trying to make it happen. It doesn't happen right now. Picture me jumping up and down. I just get so tired of it. Now, when you read Ezekiel 37 and 38, read the chapter in Revelation. I think it's chapter 20 or 21 when it talks about the end of the 1,000-year millennial reign. Then that war begins. So it doesn't happen right now while in anybody's lifetime here. It does not happen. When the Lord returns, the second coming of Christ, and sets up his rule on earth for 1,000 years, his rule will be set up here on earth. Then Satan will be leased from his chains. He's cast into the abyss during this whole 1,000-year reign of Christ on earth. Then he will be leased out of his chains in the abyss, and he will go to Gog and to Magog and to these corners of the earth and bring up a war against Jerusalem. It happens then. It doesn't happen now or any time while any of us are alive here on Earth. It's way down the road. So they keep trying to make that war happen. I don't know why. So anyway, back to the setup. All of the nations will move their embassies to Jerusalem because Jerusalem is going to be the focal point for this Sananda when he arrives. Now, he doesn't even want to go to Jerusalem. Nobody does. Nobody wants to go to Jerusalem. It's a dirt bomb over there. There's nothing going on. But the Vatican will be destroyed. America's going to be destroyed. That's going to be the only place he has. Because Sananda represents Christianity. And even though he tries to do this merger of Chrislam with his little Islamic Maitreya buddy, there's going to be the Messiah, the 12th Imam of the Muslims, they'll still need Jerusalem as the focus. And so they're going to have to go over there and make it the focus, because that's just where prophecy, life on earth began there, and it's going to pretty much end there. And so that's just prophecy, folks. And they talk about the temple. They got the churches going on a third temple. Really? The Lord's temple now is not made with hands. His people are the temple. And so any kind of building, why don't they just call it a church? I'm going to build a church. Because a temple with their site of instituting sacrifices, what? Are you going to do that again? I mean, that would be totally blasphemous and a slap in the face to Christianity, because Yahushua was the perfect sacrifice and the final sacrifice for mankind. There could be no other sacrifice for mankind. He has already given us the perfect sacrifice. So anything after that is just blasphemous. But Christians will help pump money over to Israel. Oh, let's build a temple. Satanists and the gullible churches in America who follow them and just think they're being patriotic for biblical reasons. You know, it's the most pagan thing and dumb thing about Christians today is their misplaced patriotisms. They think celebrating Christmas is a patriotic Christian thing. When the Lord spoke through Jeremiah in Jeremiah chapter 10 and said, "Don't be like the pagans. Don't rip up trees and put decorations and lights on them." And what do? In His name, every single year, they get their trees and they decorate them and they put their lights out and their manger scenes, and they think it's being a patriotic towards biblical principles and traditions. He hates it. And you can't tell these Christians anything. They won't wake up out of their stupor. They won't realize they're being led by sons of Satan. Their churches aren't filled with sons of God. They're filled with devils. Most Christians, real ones, aren't even in the churches today. There's nothing left but paganisms. Every year we have to go through this garbage. Christmas. I just get so mad I can't stand it. I can't stand this month. There's nothing but pure paganism and Satanism right in your face. And Christians think they're being patriotic, celebrating his birthday that happened 3 months earlier. Rosh Hashanah was the time he was born. When you celebrate December 25th, you're celebrating the birthday of the sun god, which is just another name for Satan. You can't tell them that. They're just so wrapped up in their paganisms. So, it's December 6th. We're still waiting for things to start happening, if they're going to pull off their event at the end of the month for this New Age agenda. I've been waiting to rise up on the heels of the destruction of this New World Order agenda. And it's really getting quite ludicrous, because you gotta wonder what the heck's going on when you got all these female to males, trannies, being accused of sexual assault. You're like, what? The guy's not even a guy. It's a female to male. I saw a picture of Matt Lauer in a pretty little bathing suit. Guess what he doesn't have? He's not a man. And you look at Weingate, you look at all these other men, and it's like, how are they being accused of sexual assault? They're not even men. It's just, you know, and they pull these women. You notice this? They pull these women that come out of the woodwork. And they're all ready to give interviews on TV and be interviewed. And you know how long it takes to get, you know, somebody dressed and ready to go to be on TV and interviews and interview ready and stuff like that. I mean, this stuff takes planning. So these women are just coming out of the woodwork getting paid for it, if you ask me, because it's all just a setup to walk away from their jobs, bring them down. In other words, they're guilty of such more heinous crimes that instead of telling the public what they're really guilty of, they're just having them shooed away by sexual harassment claims. That's the easy way out. So they just leave without a whimper. I told you they'd go after the journalists. And, you know, these late-night TV scumbags, Jimmy Kimmel and all these late-night Satan whores, they should be next. How many more blood sacrifices can they give to keep their jobs? How many more meetings do they have to go to and sacrifice babies and rape children and to make their leaders happy, keep their high-paying jobs? Because that's what they do. Our whole system should come crumbling down. And then that includes everybody that we have had to look at for the last 10, 20 years. Because you only get to the top by doing the most despicable things known to mankind. And they're all guilty of it. But instead of exposing their crimes, they're letting them walk away with whimpers of sexual assaults and harassment. Oh, Matt Lauer used to pinch my butt. What are we, in kindergarten? I don't know, folks. And you know what? I was looking over some of the New Age rab mags online and looking for this reasoning on why these female-to-male transgenders are being accused of sexual assault and rapes and stuff like that. And it's like, they're pretty much saying the same thing. They're just giving them a way out. It's a way out. They can keep their manhood image. And that's what they do when they're trying to really reinforce the fact that somebody's a man. That they'll put rape or pregnancy rumors. Oh, he got somebody pregnant. Because when we came out with Justina Bieber, remember that years ago? They came out with, oh, there's a girl in Florida who claims Justin Bieber's or got her pregnant. Because they wanted to reinforce Justin's transgender status, that he's a man. He's not a man. He was born a girl. They just started pumping him with hormones from the time he was born. He's grown up a boy his entire life, but he's not a boy. And so they always try to hurry up and reinforce things when stuff comes out about celebrities. Oh, that's not a woman, that's a man. That's not a man. Look, he got somebody pregnant. This is how messed up everything is. They pay Selena Gomez $1 million to play his girlfriend. You know, got to keep that one in the coffin so that he always appears still as a guy. You know, that's what they do to all of them. What they do to all of them. And George Clooney, he couldn't come out he was gay because he was such a heartthrob, so he just married a transgender. It's all a mess. But all that stuff's going to be exposed sooner or later for in disclosure. Let's start disclosing. Besides me, I've been disclosing for 15 years. Nobody listens to me. 10,000 videos on YouTube later, but nobody gives me credit for the stuff they take from me. Oh, still on the blacklist. Keep her on the blacklist. You know, Trump, you should really take me off the blacklist. I'm tired of the blacklist. Obama had me on it for 8 years. Clinton had me on it for 8 years. Bush has had me on it for 8 years. 16 between the two of them. I've always been on the blacklist. And so they wonder why I'm bored and I'm messing with Chicago. Chicago's a huge reptile nest. I'm going to bring it out there. What else am I going to do? You know? Trump really doesn't have my interest. He's not an Obama or a Bush. In fact, I've helped him quite a bit. Anyway, folks, my ranting is over. I will be back on Friday at noon with some more of what's in the news stuff going on. Till then, everybody, God bless.